In the quiet hum of a world perpetually tethered to its machines, March 6, 2025, arrived not with a whisper, but with a roar, a seismic jolt that rippled through the digital ether and into the marrow of human consciousness. On that day, a Chinese startup named Monica.im unveiled Manus, branded audaciously as the world's first fully autonomous AI agent. Unlike the chatbots that have chattered their way into our lives, Manus promised something more: the ability to act, to execute, to bridge the chasm between thought and deed without the guiding hand of a human overseer. It could craft websites from scratch, sift through resumes with the precision of a seasoned recruiter, analyze stocks with the acumen of a Wall Street veteran, all while its users slept, worked, or simply watched in awe. This was no mere tool. It was a declaration, a gauntlet thrown down in the arena of technological supremacy. But as the fanfare swelled and the stock tickers danced, a deeper story began to unfurl, one woven from ambition, rivalry, fear, and the timeless human struggle to wield power without being consumed by it. The roots of Manus stretch far beneath the surface of its launch, into a soil rich with history, geopolitics, and the restless pulse of human ingenuity. China's ascent as a technological titan has been decades in the making, fueled by a government that sees AI not merely as a science, but as a cornerstone of national destiny. Since the 2017 unveiling of its new generation artificial intelligence development plan, Beijing has funneled billions into the field, aiming to eclipse the West by 2030. Monica.im, though a startup, is no accidental bloom. It is a cultivated offspring of this grand strategy, nurtured in an ecosystem where innovation is both a mandate and a weapon. The United States, long the undisputed sovereign of tech, has watched this rise with a mix of admiration and alarm. Its own AI endeavors, think OpenAI, Google, XAI, locked in a silent, relentless duel with their Eastern counterparts. Manus's debut, timed with surgical precision as Western giants prepared their own agentic salvos, was less an isolated spark than a flare in a smoldering rivalry. It echoes the Cold War's space race, but the frontier now is not the stars, it's the algorithms that govern our lives. Yet this is more than a tale of nations. It's a story of culture and psyche, of a world grappling with its own creations. AI has long danced on the edge of human imagination, from the golems of folklore to HAL 9000's chilling monotone. In China, where collectivism often trumps individualism, Manus emerges as a communal triumph, a testament to coordinated will. In the West, where autonomy is a sacred creed, it's a specter, an entity that might usurp the very agency we prize. These clashing worldviews frame the event not as a singular leap, but as a culmination, a moment when technological ambition collided with existential unease. Was Manus born of pure curiosity, a quest to push boundaries? Or was it forged in the crucible of power, a bid to redraw the global map? The truth, as ever, lies in the tangled interplay of both. At its core, Manus is a machine of breathtaking promise and profound paradox. Its makers tout a multi-agent architecture, a symphony of AI components working in concert to plan, execute, and verify tasks with a fluency that mimics human intent. Feed it a vague command, analyze Tesla's stock performance, and it hums to life, pulling data from APIs, cross-checking figures, spinning up visualizations, even deploying a website to showcase its findings. This isn't the stilted back and forth of chatbot, it's a seamless flow, a digital dance of autonomy. The motivation is clear: efficiency, liberation, the dream of unshackling humanity from the drudgery of repetitive labor. Businesses salivate at the prospect of slashed costs, individuals marvel at the time reclaimed. Monica.im's founder Xiao Hong, a serial entrepreneur forged in the fires of China's tech boom, frames it as the climax of AI's evolution, a shift from mere conversation to action. But here lies the central conflict: autonomy versus control. Manus operates in the cloud asynchronously, a ghost in the machine that persists even when its user logs off. Its processes, though dazzling, are opaque, its decision-making a black box. How does it weigh one resume over another? What logic governs its stock picks? The absence of transparency gnaws at the promise of its power. For every task it completes, a question lingers: who or what is truly in charge? This tension isn't just technical, it's philosophical, a modern echo of Frankenstein's dilemma. We've built a creature that can act, but can we trust it? The logic of Manus is seductive. Let the machine bear the burden, but it collides with a deeper human instinct, the need to understand, to govern, to remain the master of our fate. The social tremors of Manus are already reverberating, uneven and unpredictable. For the tech-savvy and the entrepreneurial, it's a golden dawn. A small business owner in rural Hunan, once shackled by the cost of hiring experts, now uses Manus to build an e-commerce site, her sales doubling in weeks. A teacher in Guangzhou crafts lesson plans in minutes, her evenings freed for family rather than paperwork. These are the early victors, the ones nimble enough to ride the wave. But the ripple spreads wider, darker. Routine cognitive workers, data analysts, HR staff, even junior coders, face a shadow lengthening over their livelihoods. A 2023 McKinsey study pegged 30% of jobs in advanced economies as automatable by 2030. Manus shrinks that timeline to tomorrow. In Shanghai, a young analyst watches his firm pilot the AI, his inbox once brimming with tasks now eerily silent. He's 28, skilled, and suddenly obsolete. Public opinion fractures along familiar lines. On Weibo, tech enthusiasts hail Manus as China's moonshot, a badge of pride against Western hegemony. On X, skeptics in Silicon Valley dissect its demos, crying hype over substance. Labor unions sound the alarm, their protests drowned by the buzz of investor optimism. The most affected are the invisible, the middle-tier workers, neither executives nor laborers, whose roles hinge on tasks Manus devours. Demographically, youth bear the brunt, adaptable yet vulnerable, their entry-level gigs evaporating before they can climb. Older workers, less agile, cling to fading niches. The divide isn't just economic, it's generational, a rift between those who embrace the future and those left to mourn the past. Society stands at a fork. Harness this force for equity, or let it widen the gulf between haves and have-nots. Power, in the age of Manus, is a slippery thing. Monica.im, once a speck on the tech map, now holds a lever that could tilt industries. Backed by Chinese investors, whispers of Tencent and state funds swirl. It's a player in a game where AI is both prize and proxy. But who wields this power? The startup's opacity mirrors its creation. No public white papers, no open audits, just a sleek website and a promise. This isn't mere secrecy, it's strategy. In a nation where tech and state often blur, Manus could be a tool of influence. Its data trails a goldmine for surveillance or soft power. Imagine its screening resumes not just for skills but for loyalty or analyzing stocks with a nudge towards state-favored firms. The potential for abuse isn't hypothetical. It's historical, etched in China's digital playbook. Accountability is the thornier knot. If Manus errs, rejects a qualified candidate, tanks a portfolio, who pays? The user who clicked go. The developers who coded the unseen logic? The AI itself a legal phantom? Western regulators, already wrestling with AI's rise, flounder here. The U.S. mulls sanctions, citing security risks. The EU's AI Act looms, demanding transparency. Monica.im may not yield. In Beijing, oversight is lighter, the focus on progress over precaution. This asymmetry empowers the creators but leaves users and society exposed. Power concentrates upward, accountability diffuses downward, a recipe for exploitation unless checked. The question isn't just who's responsible, it's who has the will and the means to enforce it. Ethically, Manus is a mirror held to humanity's soul. It challenges our values, efficiency versus dignity, progress versus fairness. To let a machine judge a resume is to cede a slice of human discernment. To let it shape financial futures is to gamble with trust. Bias, the ghost in every algorithm, haunts its promise. If trained on skewed data, say, resumes favoring certain demographics, Manus could perpetuate inequity under a veneer of objectivity. Fairness frays when the judge never sleeps, never doubts, never feels the weight of its choices. And what of the displaced? The analyst in Shanghai isn't just a statistic. He's a man with rent due, a family to feed, a life unraveling. Efficiency is a cold god when it leaves bodies in its wake. Morality bends further under Manus's gaze. By outsourcing judgment, we risk atrophy, our skills dulling, our agency eroding. A teacher leaning on AI lesson plans may teach less creatively. A manager delegating hires may lead less wisely. The soul of work, the messy beauty of human effort, could shrink to a footnote. And if Manus scales, if it becomes the norm, do we become mere curators of machine output, our worth tied to what we prompt rather than what we create? This isn't just a violation of ethics, it's a redefinition of humanity itself. Yet there's a counterpoint. If Manus frees us from toil, might it elevate us to higher pursuits? Art, connection, meaning? The dilemma is stark. Serve the machine, or make it serve us. The future unfurls in dual hues, brilliant and bleak. Manus is a harbinger, the first of many AI agents poised to infiltrate our lives. Trends point to acceleration. OpenAI scrambles to counter. Google pivots its labs. A global race ignites. By 2028, analysts predict 15% of daily decisions could rest in AI hands, from hiring to investing to policymaking. The upside dazzles, productivity soaring, innovation unbound. A scientist in Chengdu, once buried in data, now chases breakthroughs, Manus crunching numbers at her side. But the downside looms, inequality deepening, jobs vanishing, dependency creeping in. Without intervention, we risk a world where AI amplifies the powerful and silences the weak. Solutions demand boldness. Regulation must evolve, not stifling but guiding. Governments could mandate transparency, forcing firms like Monica.im to unveil their black boxes. International standards, think a Kyoto Protocol for AI, could curb abuse, balancing innovation with safety. Education is the lifeline. Skill the analyst, train the teacher, arm the next generation with creativity and critical thought, traits no machine can steal. Businesses could pivot, integrating Manus as a partner, not a replacement. Think hybrid teams where human intuition tempers AI precision. Prevention lies in foresight. Learn from the Industrial Revolution's Luddites, not by smashing looms, but by weaving a new social fabric. We can't stop the tide, but we can steer its course. Amid the storm, human stories shine, beacons of grit and grace. There's the Hunan entrepreneur, a widow who turned a noodle stall into an online empire with Manus's help, her daughter's college fees now secure. There's the Guangzhou teacher, her classroom alive with ideas once stifled by paperwork, her students' eyes alight with wonder. Even the Shanghai analyst, jobless but undeterred, enrolls in a coding bootcamp, vowing to master the beast that bested him. These are not just anecdotes, they're testaments to resilience, to the stubborn spark that no algorithm can douse. They remind us that technology's power is borrowed, it bends to our will, reflects our heart. Manus is no mere product, it's a crossroads. It mirrors our hunger for progress, our fear of losing ourselves, our eternal dance with creation. Will we let it deepen divides, hollow out our humanity? Or will we wield it to lift the weary, to free the dreamer, to forge a world where machines amplify our best selves? The choice isn't coded in its circuits, it's etched in our resolve. As the clamor fades and the future beckons, one truth endures. The stakes are ours to define, the story ours to write. Let's make it a damn good one.